Okay, why don't you pronounce it for me? Her understudy's name, because we just Louis Fuselage, Louis
Fuyad.
Fouillade.
Yeah.
This all of this. We really need
Fuyad.
to learn French. Like honestly, if I'm really trying to go hard for this podcast, I should just learn French. Um,
Yeah.
Louis Fouillade made a couple of films this year, um, but my favorite was The Trust or Battles for Money.
This might be my favorite of the year. I'm not
Hmm.
sure. Even though it is French, it does feel like it's also pretty relevant to the time in the US in 1911.
Well, I mean, I would make a lot of comparisons to A Corner in Wheat.
Mm-hmm.
It's A Corner in Rubber is this movie with more like intrigue. Um,
It's that, I think, with a little bit of what was it, like the white slave trade,
how so?
just with the kidnappings and there's, like you said, there's a lot of intrigue, there's a lot of
Yeah,
uh like backstabbing and sneaking around and like plots and
yeah. It's
and
pretty plot heavy. It's only 25 minutes long, and a lot happens in it. Um, it it makes sense that you would be into this one, Glenn, because it does seem like a kind of proto noir crime film in some
yeah,
ways.
yeah, it definitely feels that way. It also just has um some fun language in it, at least in the translation of the intertitles.
Hmm.
um there are some dastardly businessmen who are the villains, who are referred to as businessmen without scruple, which is great. I'm gonna have to start using that as an insult. Um, you are without scruples, sir.
No scruples found.
um, and they hire. Well, there's a I guess a sort of a scientist who discovers a formula for artificial rubber.
Yep.
Um, and he is returning from abroad to
On his rubber fact-finding mission.
yes, um, and the sort of the rubber barons find out about this and want to put a stop to it because it's going to put them out of business, and so they hire a private detective to do their dirty work.
Yep.
Um, and I mean, I don't know if I want to go through like all there's a lot of plot to get through, so
Yeah.
I don't know if we necessarily need to go through the entire thing. Um, but I mean, the important part is that the movie ends up with the the good business people who want to, make the artificial rubber, and the bad business people, the rubber barons, both end up hiring the same private detective,
Yeah.
one to kidnap the scientist, one to protect him. And so the private detective, being a capitalist, ends up kidnapping him, um, and bringing him to the caverns beneath the rubber baron's cliff house, which what a lovely sentence that is. I mean,
And
if
and
you're gonna
and
own a cliff house, you gotta get one with a cavern underneath.
oh, absolutely. That's 100% true. It's the villainous bat cave
Yeah.
basically. And my favorite part of this scene actually is how the rubber barons, not robber barons by the way,
Yeah.
but rubber barons, um uh they they're wearing their like tuxes and top hats inside of this cave.
Yeah, with
And
masks.
as the guy comes in to disguise their identities, they put on these big kind of, I don't know, the masks.
Yeah.
It's a black mask that you put over your eyes,
Yeah.
and so it's like such a look, you know.
Yeah.
They look ridiculous. uh,
They're the quintessential Edwardian supervillains.
yeah. Um, yeah, I was thinking that like the PI. So what ends up happening is they're trying to like kidnap this guy and extort him to give them the recipe for the artificial
Mhm.
rubber. Um,
The formula.
and Yeah, the formula.
If this movie was made today, it would 100% be an algorithm.
Oh my god. Gross. Um and they say like, we're not trying to hurt you. We're like offering, well, even though we're holding you at gunpoint, we're going to give you 50,000 francs if you give us the recipe, the formula for the artificial rubber. And he's like, well, I guess I have no choice. And so they offer him a pen, and he goes like, oh no, I've got one. And so he writes it down on the paper, and they're like, you know what? Thanks a lot. Here's your check. See you later, guy. And so they put a blindfold back on the scientist and walk him out of the cave. And as soon as he's made his exit, they realize that the pen was disappearing ink, and so they thought they had the formula, but it is gone. He's swindled them.
Yeah, I love too when that happens. The private detective, who's been sort of like one of the main villains from this whole thing. Like the businessmen are all freaking out, and his response is kind of like, if there was dialogue, it'd be like, all right, that was pretty cool. Like, I'll give you that.
So here's the thing. I don't know if this was textual. But because the PI got hired by both parties, right? My thought was that maybe he was doing a Yojimbo kind of thing, where he was playing them against each other. And this was never shown in the movie, but like, what if he gave the scientist the disappearing ink pen, right? So he was able to bring the scientist to the one party, but then also fulfill his obligation to the other party and get paid by both, right?
That would make the movie even better if that had been after the reveal of the disappearing ink. We found out that was what had happened.
Yeah,
man,
I want to believe that.
This movie is ripe for a remake, I think.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Once we can get together, I think it would be a lot of fun if we like did some
modern retellings of these.
Yeah, that'd be so fun. Yeah. Especially the ones that aren't like, that wouldn't require Legend of a Ghost levels of money. This one could be pretty cheap to make.
Hey, we could just throw some sheets on some cars and make Legend of a Ghost.
Yeah,
light some fires in a cave.